Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hi, this is Tammy Patzer, and our guest today is Kim A. Flodin, and she's actually a Minnesotan transferred to California. And the cool thing about Kim is that she has created 11 adult coloring books, including, and this is kind of fun, but of course this is a G-rated show, but she's actually created what are called Sweary Mandala books. So she'll obviously tell us a little bit about that. And then, of course, some other titles are Get Coloring, Get Happy, Color for Christmas, Fun and Fanciful Mandalas, Perfectly Imperfect Mandalas, and Beep, Let's Color Sweary Mandalas, and Don't Be a Horse's Beep. So this should be a fun conversation. And of course, you can find out more about Kim and her books on Amazon. But let's get down to actually talking with Kim. Welcome.
Hi there. I'm so happy to be here.
Great. I'm happy that you're here too. So let's get down to the basics. Tell me a little bit, how in the world did someone from Minnesota who moved to California end up creating coloring books?
Well, that is a story we don't have time for, but I can tell you this much, that I've had in the last 5 or 6 years, I've had a lot of different life experiences happen, and some of them were quite stressful. And by the fall of 2012, I'd lived through several very stressful life experiences, and I never was a true artist before, but I needed a hobby. I needed something to distract me from everything that had been going on. So I looked online and found parkour. I don't know if you know what parkour is, but it's that incredible, like almost gymnastic type exercise where people bounce off buildings and stuff. And I thought, well, that's cool, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. And then I found some Zentangle stuff, and it totally reminded me of what I used to doodle a lot in high school, and I just had totally forgotten about it. So I started doodling and drawing, and from the very beginning, my mom kept telling me to make a coloring book. So that's kind of how it all began.
So when did you actually publish your first coloring book?
I actually did not publish my first coloring book until late August of last year, 2015. And then I've just been like a coloring book. It's been coloring book crazy because it's like they just keep coming out. I don't know what to tell you, but they just keep showing up.
So how long are these coloring books that you've created?
They are anywhere from, the Christmas book is the shortest book. I think that's like 15 pages. And then the last book I did is about, I think the biggest book I've done is the Valentine's book, How Do I Love You, Color the Ways. That's 36 images. They range from like 15 to 36 images, just depending. So yeah, anywhere in those ranges.
So are your designs, are they all original? Do you hand draw them?
Yes, they're all original. I hand draw everything, which can be challenging sometimes when you're producing a coloring book to get those hand-drawn lines looking good. But yeah, I do hand draw everything. The mandalas, I use a really simple mandala program, but then I basically fill it in. So so it's fun.
So with the mandala, you create the mandala.
I create a mandala. Yeah. I mean, I'm still creating that mandala. That mandala design is still my own, but it's a computer generated just so there's no way I could draw a mandala like that. And then I add my own kind of flowy style inside the mandala. So it's kind of a unique thing. I hadn't seen it until recently. I just noticed there's one other artist out there I saw today. I'm like, oh, someone's doing that now. But mine was kind of the first one that did this, as far as I know. And as far as I know, I was first with the Sweary mandalas as well, first to market. So that was fun.
So do you do most of your books in themes? And can you define like Sweary a little bit? I mean, you don't have to give me the words, but how do you incorporate that?
I'm going to tell you a little story about how the whole Sweary thing happened.
Okay.
Yeah, I love these books. It's so funny because my artist name is Keleki Love. Keleki Love, the word love. I wouldn't, I'm not really, I do swear. And I sometimes I swear a lot, but it kind of was not where I was thinking my artist thing was going. But I kept getting people putting the swearing stuff on my timeline and saying, oh, you should do a swearing book. And then once it was a Saturday morning and I woke up and I read something in one of my Facebook groups about how these Sweary books were taking off. And it was like in my mind's eye, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can do that with my mandalas. And I literally was up and out of bed and had that book done and on Amazon by Monday morning. The first one, Oh Bleep, Let's Color Sweary Mandalas. It was like I couldn't stop. It just came out of me. So yeah. So and I didn't even want to do it. And this has been my bestseller so far.
Oh, I love that. Oh, bleep.
Yes. Oh, bleep. And then the second one I had to do because my grandma, who is going to be 90 this year and lives in Wisconsin, is the most prolific swearer I have ever heard in my whole life. And my whole family came forward and said, oh, you have to do a book for grandma. So she always says, don't be a horse's bleep. So this is her book. It's really just done in honor of her. So I put that out really fast, but it's a really nice book, the second Sweary Mandala book. And it's both books have extra bonus pages at the back with the free page from all my other books. So you get a little sample of everything I've put out.
Oh, that's really cool. So Grandma, your 90-year-old grandmother inspired a Sweary book. That's really cool.
We say if Grandma's not calling you a horse's bleep, there's something wrong with Grandma.
Great grandma.
Yeah, right.
So obviously the Sweary books are not targeted towards people
children
who don't appreciate that or children.
Right.
So when you're coming up with the ideas, you said that you had gone through some real stressful periods in your life. Mm-hmm. So do you really believe that coloring books help people with health issues or stress issues?
100%, because honestly, I mean, I was in a very bad living situation and I started doing art, and within, I think 3 or 4 months, I was out of there. And I remember, and it was like, it gave me the courage to move forward. And I remember a friend saying, and I had no idea. I was just drawing for my own self to kind of save my own self in that situation. And I remember a friend saying to me, she's looked at my art and she said, that's going to get you. She's like, that's going to save you. And I was like, really? And she goes, you wait and see. And I feel like it did. And then, I'm also an energy healer. So I feel like I do put some of all my healing energy into my artwork. And I have heard back from people, complete strangers to me that have written me the most beautiful, some of them have written the most beautiful reviews or just personal letters that they are having magnificent things happening when they color especially the mandalas. I do think that those have a little bit of extra something going on in them. But I've had a woman say that, she's claiming that her post-traumatic stress has gotten much, much better. She can leave the house now. Her anxiety has, been completely reduced. And I'm hearing that more and more now. So yeah, I 100% believe it, just from my own personal experience and, reflection.
Wow, I just literally got goosebumps and a chill.
I kind of did too.
When you said that. So what that tells me is that you're speaking a truth.
Yeah, no, I actually pulled up this one lady's, there's a lady's review on Amazon. She reviewed, I think it's under Fun and Fanciful. Let me double check. But yeah, it is. It's under Fun and Fanciful. And I read it and honestly cried for 20 minutes because as a person who cares about people and wants to help other people heal. When I read this, I was like, oh my, I'm like, it's happening, and that is almost as gratifying to me as the ability to make a living doing this. Seriously, it's what gets me up every day.
Wow. So,
yeah.
So creating coloring books is like your passion, and it makes it so that you want to jump out of bed every day. That's
for
really
sure it
phenomenal.
does. And when and you know, I have a group of women who color for me, and they are just like, a lot of them are having chronic pain issues, fibromyalgia and stuff. And those ladies, I get up for those ladies. Honestly, I get up because I know they're there, and I give them coloring pages. They help me. I help them. We have the best time. But I am so honored because they're getting helped and they're helping me, and it's just a cool thing.
Wow,
So,
that is cool. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people, you know, perfectionists, talk a little bit about, are there any best ways to color?
Oh, yeah. You see this going on all the time on in the groups on Facebook. Like, a lot of people seem to be very, you know, nervous about putting their artwork out there, you know, their coloring artwork. And I'm like, you know what? Sometimes I just throw everything in a jumble and pick up whatever my hand lands on. And I think that that's a really good way to do it, because it takes the control away from you. And then you get into kind of a flow where you don't have to worry about, you know, how, and the strangest thing is they always turn out looking well. I think it's like when you can get out of your own way, you can really, you know, create something cool. But I think you can tell the ones where your people are all wound up. So I don't do all the shading and all that stuff. I really just enjoy drawing it out and coloring it. It's hard for me not to color my own stuff until it, you know, is in a book. But, yeah, I just think have fun with it. Just do weird color combinations and, you know, get outside the box. And like, I have a friend who takes my books and she goes right outside the lines. She takes a piece of my artwork and then makes it into her artwork. She never stays in the lines. She goes outside the lines. She colors it, but she draws her own stuff and makes a whole different thing. And I'm like, that is the coolest thing. And I think that's what this is about. Just get outside your own framework.
So as far as the tools of coloring go, what are some of your favorites?
Honestly, I love my Crayola twistables. They're my favorite.
What is a twistable? I haven't seen that.
They're like a coloring crayon for an adult. They're like a combination between a colored pencil and a coloring crayon. And it's just the ones I like. Well, no, I just bought some new ones. They're small. The ones I have are about the size of a colored pencil, but they twist up it's like the coloring crayon part twists up. And it's narrower than a coloring crayon would be, and a little bit tougher. But I bought those. I think I just have a real kind of a fondness for them, because those were one of the things I first bought to color with when I was kind of coming out of my trauma, and we've bonded. But they're great. And they last forever. So, and then I like markers, but really I'm a bright color person. So I like markers, and, you know, there's so many fun gel pens out there now. There's so many fun colored pencils out there now, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to, you know, really make beautiful looking, colored pages. So, I mean, I've picked up some great things just like at the 99-cent store or the dollar store or whatever. If you walk through there, sometimes they have great little packs of pens and stuff. So. Good.
So that's good advice. You don't have to spend a lot of money to color.
Honestly,
because some people spend a lot of money on the colors.
I got the Prismacolor pencils, which are like everyone's lusting after those. If you see, if a day doesn't go by that I don't see Prismacolor pencils, I know that something's not right in the coloring world. So, because everyone wants those. So I got them, and I'm like, they're fine. I don't know if they're any better than my Crayolas that I paid $5 for versus my Prismacolors that I paid $50. So I don't know. I have to maybe work with them a little bit more. But I mean, for me, it's like I just enjoy the coloring, and I just kind of let it happen.
So if you were to give people 3 tips about how to get the best results for when they color something, let's say that they're thinking, oh, maybe I'll give this to someone as a gift, or I want to hang it on the wall, or make it last, what would be 3 tips you would give people?
Well, first of all, honestly, because this is a frustrating thing, make sure it's something that's easy to be framed. Because I've done that before and been like, oh no, there's no frame that's ever going to fit this thing. So make sure you're coloring the right size. And then second of all, if you're giving it away to someone, I think you just have to trust yourself and just really enjoy coloring that piece and put a lot of love and joy into it, because you're giving it as a gift. And don't, just really love that piece all the way through the whole experience. And yeah, third of all, what I said earlier, just, get out of your own way and just have fun. That's it.
So,
I don't,
put lots of real love and energy and positive thoughts.
Think positive thoughts about that person while you're coloring it. All the great things that, just that's kind of what I like to do anyway.
Wow. When you think about that gift, when you actually create something for someone with the love in your heart, I bet when they get that, they'll just feel it.
They do, because, I've given a lot of art away. I started kind of, before I did coloring books, I did a little line, and I'd still like to go back to these. I did a line of little stars. They were called superstars, and I put, kind of empowering words in them, and I gave them away to all. I have a big family. I gave them away to all my sisters and a lot of girlfriends and stuff. And every one of them was like, I gave it to them, and they were like, how did you know this is what it's like the right word ended up, because I would sit down and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this one for so-and-so. And then the word would just come, and the colors. And a lot of times I'd hear, oh, and these are my favorite colors. And I'm like, yeah, it just works out that way. So it's like, if you trust yourself, you just don't know what might happen.
Wow, that's beautiful. And that's actually a really good idea, and simple. You said is a star with an empowering word in it that you created for each one of those family members. That's a really creative and good idea that really anybody could do. That's cool. Yeah,
for sure.
So do you think that coloring books are for adults, do you think it's just a fad, or what do you think is going to be happening with coloring books now and into the future?
I honestly think that they're here to stay. And I don't know if you saw that recent article in Forbes magazine, but they said if you could invest in the coloring book market, they have not seen a more bullish market like for a long time. Unfortunately, we can't invest, but they said that they thought it was going to peak out, that it would flatline in 2015, but now they're saying they don't know where it's going to end. And I honestly think there's always going to be a market for this. And I'll tell you why, because I myself have been looking for adult coloring books probably for the last 20 years. I've always loved to color, but I had I just never could find any decent books. So, and I hear from a lot of people that, kind of that same experience, that they're so grateful now that they don't have to, color in the kids' books and stuff. But yeah, I think it's here to stay, especially with all the fun things that people are coming out with, like the Sweary. There's the coloring journals. I mean, there's just so many different fun things. Someone's doing greeting cards, fun stuff.
Wow. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the business side of coloring books, because I actually, when you said if it's a bullish market and people want it, and I think it's only limited by your own imagination if you were to create coloring books. So if I wanted to start, being a coloring book or a coloring journal creator, how would I do it? And do I need to be an artist to get involved?
You don't have to be an artist, for sure. You don't. I have to say that there are, I think there's teams of people that have best-selling books on Amazon right now who are not artists. I think what they do is they get together and they work with licensed art. And so you could buy licensed art and put together a book easily. There's people who buy licensed photographs and turn it grayscale and make a book. So you don't necessarily have to be an artist. And I think it helps if you are. I mean, you have to have a bit of an artistic sense, I think, even to be able to put a decent book together to some degree. But you really don't have to be an artist if you don't want to be. You can start. There's plenty of people that are making mandalas with, there's mandala software and stuff that you can get. You can use that to make mandalas. You can make patterns. There's pattern generators. You can do that. And I mean, at least when you're doing the mandalas and the pattern generators, you're using some artistic stuff. If you're using licensed art, you have to have a bit of an eye just to put the page together, but not necessarily like a drawing type person. No, you don't have to do that if you don't want to.
So when you created your books, did you use a traditional publishing company or did you self-publish?
I had no idea what I was doing when I started out. My mom just kept saying, make a coloring book. And finally I got to the point where I'm like, hey, I think I could make a coloring book now. I actually did a blog last year as a challenge to myself. I did it. It ended up being 60 days. It was 30 days. I had 30 and I didn't color for 30 days. I didn't color the artwork. And so a lot of that artwork ended up, much of it is in the first book. So it kind of was like, I had this pile of black and white artwork and I'm like, hey, maybe I should make a coloring book. So I didn't know anything about that they were going crazy or anything like that. I was just kind of following my own path. And so doing investigating how to do that, Create Space, which is an Amazon owned company, is a very easy way to self-publish a coloring book. They walk you through it. I mean, it's pretty simple.
Create Space on Amazon. So you could start.
Well, it's createspace.com. It's owned by Amazon. But
okay.
Yeah, anybody can publish a book on Create Space. It is like easy peasy.
So you actually gave yourself a 30-day challenge to just create art and write
a blog about each day.
Okay. So you didn't stop to color. So
and then I went on. It was kind of such a good experience that I went on for another 30 days and I colored each piece and then wrote a little blog about it. So, yeah.
So you took 60 days to allow yourself to be fully creative in creating.
Yeah, it was a challenge. I mean, some days I did not want to draw and I didn't want to write, but I did it. And it actually was a very good exercise. It really kind of jump-started me to get really moving with my art. And it put me out there. It's like it takes a amount of courage to do this in some ways because you're putting yourself out there to some degree. And so that was my first step of saying, hey, I'm here and, here's my artwork. And I didn't get a lot of readership, but I did some, I did get some.
So tell me a little bit about your first experience when you did publish your first book. What was your first book?
Get Coloring, Get Happy, the purple book.
Did you get very many sales?
My books have been, actually, I think that one came out of the gate pretty well considering I didn't know what I was doing. And, of course, a lot like your friends and family buy it. But after the first month, then that trickles off. And fortunately for me, my sales haven't been huge, but I've always had sales. And that book has continued to sell. So, it's not had the success like Oh Bleep, Let's Color Sweary Mandalas has, but it is one of the more successful of the books. I don't know why. Those first ones always seem to be more successful. So
the key is slow and steady and get it out there, publish it. I think that's the big secret is you have to actually upload it and get it out there so people can find it.
Yes,
and then they buy it.
Yeah.
And if they like it, they want more from you.
Right.
Have you found that's true, that people will buy most of your stuff?
Yes. Yeah. You know what? That's so funny. I signed on to Facebook on Monday morning, and there was a woman who I don't know, but she runs a Facebook group. And she had made the cutest graphic, and she's like, oh, I just finally got my Amazon cart pared down, and I'm so happy that I was able to get all of Kim Flodin's books. And there my books were all spread out with, some of her gel pens and all that. I was like, oh, I love this. This is the way to start a week.
So you have groupies.
I'm getting groupies. Yes,
coloring book groupies.
That's what I said. I'm like, I feel like a minor celebrity. And I had that couple follow me off a plane that time. Like last year in the summer, it must have been like last fall because I just had the books published and I had to go somewhere, and they followed me out of baggage claim and said, can we see what you were coloring? And I was like, oh, I'm like a rock star.
So did you show them what you were coloring? Did
they
get
loved
them?
It. And they were like, yeah. And they wanted to know where they could get it. And it's been a funny experience. I mean, I run into people all the time and I color in public and people ask me, and then people are like, my mail lady, she's like, oh, I'm getting your book. I'm like, okay, do it. So yeah, it's just funny. You run into people in funny ways. And I think it's good to color in public. It gets people to, paying attention, and you start good conversations.
So use your coloring books to color in public. People will notice that you start a conversation, and then of course you can sell more books. And I think that advice works no matter what business you are. If you can show people samples or demonstrate what you're doing.
If you happen to have a spare blank book in your bag, well, hey, there you go.
Right.
You can sell that book right there.
Right.
So
and again, the books don't have to be coloring books. They could be a book that you wrote about any topic.
But coloring books are cool because they're colorful.
Right.
Those people probably wouldn't have followed me off the plane if I just for asking me what I was reading.
Right.
You know? So, yeah. I've never had that experience, but yeah.
Oh, that's really, really cool. So if people want to find you and learn more about you, where can they go?
They can find, my website is Keleki Love. It's KELEKILOVE.com. And, I'm on Amazon as Kim A. Flodin. So there's I have my author's page and all my books are there. And I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook artist page, Keleki Love, but all that stuff is on my website, KelekiLove.com. Yeah.
And we'll include all of the links in our show notes also. So, Kim, do you have any gold nuggets for people who either want to color or want to start producing coloring books?
Well, I think if you want to color, I think I kind of covered that. I think you should just go for it and don't have any expectations about anything. Just have fun. And if you want to make coloring book, if you're someone who's like got the drive to make coloring books, I think you should go for that too. Even no matter how you want to do it, it's like there's nothing. Really, the cool thing about this whole coloring book thing, it's like I've made something from nothing. I mean, I'm just doodling over here. And I'm having a great time. So I would say if you think that sounds like something fun for you, you should do that.
Great.
So, yeah.
Well, Kim, thank you so much. And thanks for bringing such positive energy to the show today. I really appreciate that.
Oh, it was my pleasure. I had a great time. Thank you so much for inviting me.
This is Tammy Patzer. Go and make it a great day.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.